Can we, Shirley School next. Anything further that anybody wants to add in relation to the report there? So, well, they're being very generous to each other.
Yeah, I'm a resident of the Evergreens, as is my colleague over there. You'll probably be aware there is a long-term traffic issue in the Evergreens caused by the parents who visit the school parking. This has been going on for many years now and has been exacerbated in the last 3 or 4 years, or maybe 5 years, by the introduction of extra mobile classrooms at the school. This has caused more and more vehicles to permeate the Evergreens, as well as outside the school on Green End Road. I am very pleased with the attention the situation is getting from the police. However, I would like to see more attention focused on the Evergreens. It is a cul-de-sac and is basically being used as a car park at 9 AM and 3 PM. Let me explain exactly what I mean by a car park. The vehicles belonging to the parents are not just parked on the side of the road. They are parked in people's driveways and across people's driveways. If you come back from work at 3 PM, you will find there is someone parked in your driveway, and there's no one in the car, so you have to sit there and wait for them to arrive back from the school. That's how bad it is. It gets worse. We've asked on previous occasions for parents to come and move their car so you can get out of your driveway, and you're met with abuse and threats. The other issue is litter. I'd expect there to be a small residual amount of litter caused by living nearby a school, sweet wrappers, etc. But what I would not expect to see is the entire contents of someone's lunch, with the accompanying wrappers and carrier bags, just chucked out of the car and left there, every day. That's the level of inconvenience we're caused. It sounds small in comparison to things like Operation Northwood, but consider this has been going on every day for many, many years. I'd like something done about it. It's quite easy to stop. These offenders are easy to spot as their cars are parked in people's driveways at 9 AM and 3 PM, and they leave about half an hour later. They are easy to spot. It would be good if someone could go up to them and have a word with them and say, "Is this your driveway? No? Well, get off it then." Maybe my colleague, who's sitting over there, would also like to comment.
Everything Alistair just said, I've experienced as well. I think the worst of it was when I tried to drive to work, having finally found the owner of one of the cars who'd held me up for about 25 minutes. And then when I tried to leave and navigate between all the 4x4s and make it just up to the road, another 4x4 pulled in and basically had a crowd of people around me shouting at me, telling me it's my own tough, for living next to a school. And I was driven back to my house and verbally abused for about 10 minutes, and then I just had to get out and get my bike and cycle to work because I couldn't get out. So now it's gotten to the point where I can't bear to be in my own home between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning, for fear of just getting in a fight or getting attacked. It's every morning you get up, you try to go to work, and one morning I got out and literally I opened the front door. There was the front of a Range Rover, all 4 wheels up and went on, people getting out, as Alistair says, dropping out bags of rubbish, just going off to school. Get off my lawn. Oh, only 10 minutes. It's the same reg. I can rattle off a couple of regs off by heart. I've seen, they come down, they can't find a place to park, so they just drive across people's lawns, over their driveways, up and down. Nothing grows in anyone's lawns anymore. I know one of my neighbours, she seems to cycle to work now because she's always blocked in the mornings. I'm just tired of being afraid to leave my own home in the mornings.
Councillor Blair, as a resident.
Yeah, I'm just going to add something to this in terms of, you know, I've appreciated what the police have done, and I know that I've sat and I've stood and I've talked to Matt, and I know that there is a perception if you live next to a school, you know, there is an amount, you have to put up with it. I think, and I've had children myself who've gone to Mayfield, who've gone to Milton Road, I'm well aware of school traffic problems, I'm a chair of governors. The issue with Evergreens is that it is a cul-de-sac. So people go in, turn around in the same place and come out. They can't actually even drive down as far as mine, because mine is a little courtyard park. It's also a fact that the population of the school includes a large number of people who do drive to school all the time, and that's been recognised in the design of the new school in Nuffield Road, which has provided additional parking and turning areas. We, on the other hand, in Evergreens, constantly face a barrage of abuse, of being unable to go out. I've backed out onto the main road. You've seen yourself that the cars park up on the pavement because they park on both sides. I was very grateful to the other residents for coming here today, because I think too often the voice of those who have it day in, day out, morning and evening, and only get a break in the summer and get the litter doesn't tend to be heard, because you're listening to me and you've heard me so many times. But it is a huge strain for a lot of people in Evergreens. It has been for a long time. The school are not receptive. They don't come out and litter pick. You know, they don't go beyond their gates. But in considering, looking at what you've written in here, there are actually a lot of people who are very distressed on a daily basis by this.
I want to say something, something for that, right?
Sorry, I was just reading the notes. Where is it going? Persons parking appropriately were apologetic and in agreement with the matters raised with them. They are the same people parking them on every day were apologetic until they got tired of me asking them to move and started becoming abusive and threatening. And then these same people drive me back. Literally, you know, I don't know if you've ever been at a 4x4 in front of you, driving you back in your car with a crowd of people shouting at you. But that's what it became. So you've got uniforms, so I'm sure they're going to be apologetic to you, but as a resident, they stop being apologetic after a while, and they do get very, very abusive and threatening.
Can I ask Sergeant Ragg to respond to what is obviously extremely, I would say, unacceptable events that have been reported by me?
I'd agree, absolutely. I mean, hearing your stories, it makes me, as a person, very angry that you have to suffer that. You know, I mean, your standard of living clearly being impacted on in that way. I mean, you're talking about the same people doing this to you. Would you work with us to take action against them?
I mean, I've given registration before. It was implied the last time I spoke.
It was implied the last time I spoke to an officer on the phone that if I did go to court, the people involved would know where I live.
But I know where you live. Anyway, I mean, I'm not unless you're backing into somebody else's driver and they're but yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, that sounds to me like harassment. I mean, if somebody's following a course of behaviour like that, which is clearly causing you distress, then there's undoubtedly stuff we can do about it. It's a case of one of my officers speaking to you, looking at what evidence we've got of this in terms of what you're prepared to give us statement-wise and registration-wise and descriptions. And I'm sure we can take action against that, and maybe that's a way for maybe when we're up there in uniform, things don't look as bad as when we're not there in uniform. And I do accept that, I can imagine this sort of stuff going on. I'm aware that there are, as you've alluded to, there's a section of people that drive to school every day and drive to school every day in 4x4s. I know there's an underlying issue there as well with the school, in terms of a certain section of the community that they're very successfully engaging with, but not at your expense. What can we do for you?
Sorry, are you right?
Well, as Alistair said, just go up to the same cars that are parked on lawns, parked on flowers, blocking people's houses, blocking our cars in. And going, You know, can you just go around the corner of Kendall Way and drop your kids off? You know, I mean, I've done that every morning to the same people, and they keep coming back, and they're, oh, sorry, yeah, no, and then, you know.
Well, it sounds like that's what we need to keep doing then, but as I say, at the meeting where we discussed antisocial driving in Fen Road, there was a very upset lady with a story similar to yourself. We took a statement from her the next day and we took immediate action, you know, much to her satisfaction. So, you know, please, you know, the more we can work with you, then the better result we can get.
Okay.
Councillor Moss echoed.
I'm grateful that we have some new movement on the Evergreens access road, because this tells us another approach we can now take. Namely, we can pass a traffic regulation order which will take about 12 weeks or so to make the cul-de-sac no vehicles except for access, and then the safety camera partnership and the police can give people £70 fines and 3 points every time they go into the cul-de-sac without good excuse.
Do you want to respond on that matter?
Yeah, a frequent line of abuse from some of the people who park and block us in is that it's their right as parents to park wherever they want to get to the school. I've heard that from countless parents. You know, it's your own tough living next to the school. Put up with it. Stay where you are, and then you have to live with it.
That's why I mentioned the Evergreens access road, because we're now in new legal territory, but because the regulation order says you're only allowed to go, they basically are saying that if you're passing through and dropping someone off, you don't break the law if you stop. So if you use it as a ramp run, you get done for it if not. And so it's demonstrating that there is the ability to use traffic regulation orders in a way that is able to be tuned to meet the needs of people who live or work adjacent. So I'll talk with Councillor Manning here and we'll talk to the traffic officers in the county about what we can do.
So, do you want to add your comment in?
I would agree with having such regulations implemented.
Thank you. I think that's duly noted and it's clearly within members' powers to take that one forward. Good.